So, how do you photograph a knight in shining armor? Well, here's how you do it. I was at my cousin's wedding, and they got married at this old castle, and I decided to sort of take a few minutes out of the reception. There's kind of a lull, and I thought, let's just kind of wander around and take some cool photos if possible. So I noticed these knights in armor, and I decided, okay, let's. Here's the thing. I mean, the place was lit all wrong. As a photographer, I walk into a place and I notice the lighting, and lighting can really make or break a place. And so this was an awesome place, but kind of like through the eyes of a photographer, it could have been so much better. So I said, let's go wander around and look at the really cool aspects of this place and just kind of work with the light that I have been given and see if I can make the photo look kind of cool. So I really like this photo. So one of the things is that I have like a razor thin depth of field in this photo. So I mean, like the very edge of sort of the eyepiece is in focus here. But I love the feel of this photo. So I've essentially kind of worked in some backlight, and if you know me, you know that I am a sucker for backlight. And so I think that backlight adds a lot of drama to photo, especially if it's warm backlight like this photo. So, anyways, let me start with this is what the scene looked like. This is what I was photographing. So I walk in and I go, "This is hideous. What are you people doing? You've got." I mean, it really was a cool castle. It really, really was a cool place. There were a lot of cool things here. I totally understand why they wanted to get married in this place, but this scene looks hideous. So I started with this scene here, but basically I wanted to know, how could I end up with this? How can I get these photos starting with a scene that looks like this? Well, I know that light is going to make or break your photo. And so front light kind of breaks your photo. Not all the time, but in this particular case. And so the objects in this photo are front lit, meaning that the main light source in this photo is lighting up the front of these objects, subjects, whatever you want to call them. The front of the painting is being lit up, the front of the knight is being lit up, the front of the other thing over here is being lit up. To me, front light is pretty boring. Front light can be okay in portraits, and for my taste, that's about it. I almost always go for side light or backlight. What we have here is the same night being lit up, but instead we have something more like backlight. So you can actually see the light source in this particular photo. I was intentional about that. Sometimes I like backlight with no light source. Sometimes I like backlight and I like to actually see the light source. And the light source may be a light bulb, as in this case, it may be the sun, could be the moon. I mean, whatever is creating the light in your photo, that's the light source. And you can include it in your photo or you can exclude it. I decided to include it. Um, I just like seeing it. I like seeing this nice warm glow. I like seeing the little basically rays of light leading us over to the helmet over here. Lines are important in a photo, And you've heard about leading lines, and that's a line that draws us to the main subject of the photo. So sometimes we're drawn to the brightest object of the photo, sometimes we're drawn to other things. Should you be drawn to the brightest object of this photo, which is the light source up here, the little rays of light are going to lead you down over here to the helmet of our knight in shining armor. And the reason why it's got this dark, shadowy look and then these kind of bright highlights is simply because the light source is coming down. It's hitting these parts of the helmet, and then it's just fading off into shadow. That's what's cool about backlight or side light. You're gonna find backlight and side light in a lot of my photos, and therefore in a lot of these videos. I just think it's so much more interesting than front light. So you can see that I decided to make some of these photos black and white, and some of them I went with color. I kind of went either way. Um, I kind of tried both of them, and I like both of them. Black and white is awesome for kind of stripping away the color, the warmth, or the coolness, or sometimes you end up with like 75 different colors or like a million different colors in your photo. And it can be so distracting, and sometimes putting your photo in black and white kind of gets rid of these distractions, the color distractions, and it just kind of puts you face to face with whatever the raw essential element of the photo is. Once I figured out what worked, I didn't deviate all that much. You see the light source in every photo. Here's what I'm going to do really quick. I'm going to crop this photo. I want to see what it looks like without the light source. I'm using Lightroom to edit these photos. And this is Wednesday, so my computer is running really slow. It runs slow on Wednesdays. No joke. I like that. So I think that variety is important uh, in your photographs, and so variety can happen in a variety of ways. You could go for a variety of angles. You could go for a variety of color and black and white. You could go for a variety of warm versus cool photos. You could go for a variety of moments. There's so many ways to work variety into your photos, and the more you work at it, the more you can get. And so if the other photos all have the light source in the frame, like this shot here, then it would be nice to get a shot where we don't see the light source, where we're not distracted by a big ball of brightness, where we actually get to just kind of focus in on this mask. So there we go. I took 10 or 15 minutes out of the reception, and I started with a scene like this, and I said, this is hideous. What can I do to make this look as great and dramatic as it is supposed to look? When I hear stories about knights and armor and chivalry and things like that, I don't think to myself, this is not what I picture. This is what I picture. And it was backlight that really helped me achieve this.